Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Inside the Numbers. I figured today we'll take a look at the cap, try to make sense of it, try to disconnect emotionally from it, and see what we think we should do with this team. So I'm going to flip this because I got it on the wrong side at the moment. And we will talk about it and try to make sense for next year, what we're looking at, what's coming off the books, what's coming on, and so on. So let's get into it right away, not waste any more time of me blabbing. Okay, so next year, Skinner, as we know, still on the books at $9 million. $9 million. And, but Skinner's producing, it eases the pain. It does. Okposo, thank God, is coming off the books. His $6 million monster cap hit is coming off the books finally. I thought I'd never live to see the day that thankfully that's off the books. When you're paying a $1.5 million guy $6 million bucks, it hurts. And that's what he is, folks, regardless of what you think. Okposo, unrestricted next year, off the books. Tuch, very friendly, $4.75 million. Tuch is probably worth about 6.5. He's 4.75. And you know what? Tuch is the first guy to say, too. I remember him saying it this year. He goes, we get paid very well in the NHL. And look, he's making 4.75. And he's right. It's a lot of money, right? This is how teams win championships, I believe, guys. This. Who do you pay and how much? You know, if you're going to be stupid, you're going to have a bad team. Go look at all the teams in cap. Go look at Montreal. You want to see how not to manage the cap. Go look at Montreal. Go look at Vegas. There's teams that don't know what they're doing with their money. Olofsson, 4.75. He's earned his money this year. I'll say it. He's earned his money so far this year. I mean, not as much as Tuch, but he's earned his money. He's earned his money. We can count on him in big moments, which I like. So Olofsson, and he's getting his nose a little more dirty in the corners now. I like that about him. He's getting a bit of a, I wouldn't say a tough side, but a rough side to him, which I like. As he's getting older, he's getting a little meaner, which is good to see. So Olofsson, 4.75, I'm good with. Mittelstadt, 2.5. Very friendly deal financially. What he brings, he doesn't really deserve a penny more. He just doesn't. So 2.5, we can move that contract if we have to, which is good. Girgenson's another one unrestricted. I would put his stock in more value than Okposo right now, just because he's younger and his legs are just better than Okposo is at this point. But we'll see what we're going to do with these guys because they're kind of our quiet leaders on the team, not our big leaders, our quiet leaders. Jost, restricted free agent. We got to sign Jost, guys. This has been a smart pickup by Adams. For, well, I believe his salary is $2 million, right? His cap hit right now, $2 million bucks. Jost has been a good pickup, guys. He's been a good waivers claim. He has been, I got to say. Thompson goes on the books, 7.14. I don't think any of us have doubts that's a good contract at this point, what we've seen this year. I don't think Thompson will slow down once he starts making money. We got a guy here that's going to be 40 goals in and out every single season, a 40-goal guy. And this is the guy. This is the face of the franchise right here. This is it. Cousins and Dahlin. Him and Dahlin are the face of the franchise, without a doubt in my mind. Cousins, restricted free agent. We'll talk about him later. Very important contract. The most important contract in the offseason. Krebs, Quinn, Peterka, all at their entry levels, $863K, all locked in next year. And some of them are locked in, period, for a few years. We'll just talk about next year, though. All locked in for next year at $863K. Asplund, a restricted free agent also. Now, blue liners. Dahlin locked in at $6 million. Lyubushkin locked in at 2.75. Jokiharju locked in at 2.5. Bryson locked in at 1.85. Samuelsson starts his contract at 4.29. And Owen Power locked in at $917K. Enjoy it while it happens because those days won't last forever. And Clague will be a restricted free agent. Goalies both locked in for next year. Comrie at 1.8, UPL at $838K. So we don't have to spend much on the goaltending for next year, unless we acquire somebody. I don't know. I don't know what they're thinking when it comes to that. Okay, let's flip it up, talk about this. All right, coming off the books now. This is really important. This is the part I love, my favorite part of this. 16.2 million coming off the books. Okposo's contract is finally, financially, and I don't hate Okposo, I hate his contract. His contract was a horrible contract. It was like a Lucic contract in Buffalo is what it was. It really was. Way overpaid. 6 million off the books finally. Girgensons 2.2. Not a big deal there. Girgensons never was overpaid. But Okposo getting 6 would be like Girgensons getting 5.5, you know? Anderson, 1.5 million. He's retiring, I'm guessing. Ben Bishop, the 4.92, that's coming off the books. It was a long-term injury reserve just to meet the cap floor. So most of us don't think about it, but here comes all the free money. Hinostroza, 575K, and Bjork, 475K of buried penalty. That's coming off the books. And yes, Cody Hodgson has been costing this team $792,000 a year on the cap all these years. Cody Hodgson, folks, we're still paying him. He's still in our cap hit. Yeah, a buyout, $792K. He's off the books, finally. I was happy when we got rid of that clown, honestly. That's another guy I just didn't like at the very end. Attitude case and no. You got your parents negotiating with the team and all that crap. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. That was another guy, another troubled character. All right, next year. I heard stories from one of you guys telling me you touched his car one time and he freaked out on you. I forget which one it was you told me. Completely lost it on one of our regulars on the channel. He just was looking at the car touching. Hodgson screamed and swore at him not to touch his effing car. And it's like, these guys that make tons of money, it drives me nuts. All right, roster size for next year, guys, 16 out of 23 locked in, okay? Forwards, 8 out of 13 locked in. This is where we're going to be doing the mix and match thing in the offseason, the forwards, more than anything. Blue liners, 6 out of 8 are locked in. I'm guessing this is the way they're going to go, is 13 forwards, 8 defensemen, 2 goalies with the 23 roster. That's my guess. So blue liners, 6 out of 8, goalies 2 out of 2. And yes, they will have 23. They have to have 20 minimum. The Sabres will go with 23. They got the money. So most teams that do 22 is because they haven't managed their money. That's all it is. It's bad money management. Now, the salary cap, guys, for next year, 83.5. It's only going up $1 million. At least that's what Bettman just said recently. Now, they projected 4, you might recall, early in the season. But the whole thing right now looks like, until they fix the whole escrow problem, it looks like it's going to be 83.5. And I'll tell you what, if it is, for those of you that want it to go up higher, no, not in this era, no. We want it to stay cold, the cap, because we have plenty of cash anyway. So why should we hope other teams in our division have more cap space? No, this is better for us. And it means our cap space is even that much more valuable than when teams come knocking on the door begging us to take a contract off their hands or something. This is good news for us as Sabres fans. It's only going up by 1. The cap floor is going up by 0.8. At least that's the projected amount. So the cap floor will be 61.8 next year, not 61. Our cap hit at the moment going into next year with this 16 out of 23 is 51.7. That means we'll have 31.8 in cap space to play with to get 7 guys locked in. And let's face it, guys, if we're going to lock some of these names in, I'm going to show you here. Okay. Okposo, I got him $1.5 million for 1 season. Okay. Girgensons, same thing. $1.5 million, 1 season, maybe 2 seasons for Girgensons because of his age. Maybe. It's a big maybe. Okay. So these guys aren't going to cost much next year. They're just not. Tyson Jost, I got him locked in 2 years, $2.5 million a year. I figure what I've seen of this guy so far, he's earned it. He's earned it. Dylan Cousins, $6 million times 8 years is what I put. I would do it right away for Dylan Cousins. Yeah, Cousins is going to be a $6 million player. He will be. So I have no doubt about that contract. $1.5 million times 2 for Asplund. That's being nice, but I'm giving him 2 years because he's a lot younger than Okposo and Girgensons are. And Clague, I just put $1 million times 1, just, you know. So if you look at that for next year, you got 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 7.5, 8, 14 million here to lock in the same guys, 14 million, okay, will put us at about 65. And we'll hit the floor. We'll hit the floor. 65.7, say about 66. Let's throw it at 66. Let's say 65.5. That means we'll have about, if we lock all these guys in at this amounts, that means we'll still have 17 million open in space, and that gives us space to be dealing eventually with guys like Dahlin. You know, who's coming off the books eventually? Dahlin is. Samuelson's locked in. Power, we're going to have to get locked in. This is what we have to look at. Because there's no more bad contracts coming off the books. Okposo's is a Christmas gift. Enjoy the 6 million, guys, because the Skinner deal's not coming off the books for years to come. We got a lot of years left in that. That's the only other bad contract. Yeah, it's the only contract, the overpaid contract that's coming out. Because really, we only had 2 bad contracts. We're Skinner and Okposo. And, well, Skinner, we're just going to have to hope, guys, that he sticks around 30, 35, 40 goals. Even 40 would be great this year. But let's say if Skinner, I said it before, if he can get 4 years with 25 or 30 goals and add 8 years, it's just a moral victory. Because of the way it looked for 2 years, it looked like a disastrous signing. But right now, under Granato, he's back to life again at least, right? And I don't think Skinner will fall into those depths again where he, under Kruger, what Kruger did to him. I just don't believe that'll happen again. So that's the way it looks. And this is the key, guys. Tenny championship team is how you manage all this. That's it. How you manage this and for what term you put these guys in. I'd lock in Dylan Cozens right away at $6 million. Because what he brings to the team is the real thing. Now, I know that's probably a little higher than you like, but I'm taking into consideration the cap's being projected to raise by $10 million in the next 4 years. I don't know if that'll happen, but if it does, this isn't going to hurt at all down the stretch. Okposo's contract, the reason why it hurt for so many years is because lack of production was one of them. And the other thing was the cap was low. It wasn't like 90-something million. We're talking it was like in the 60s or 70s, right? It was a lot of money. So I'd say the big contract this year in the offseason, of course, Dylan Cozens. This is the key. The other contracts, we could sign none of these guys, and I'd say, okay, I'm okay with it. But Dylan Cozens, we got to lock in. We got to lock in Dylan Cozens. And again, this makes me happy. All this money coming off the books. $60 million. So we can take that $60 million coming off the books and use it all again here, okay? All here to lock in all this, and the Dylan Cozens is resolved. He's locked in, another core piece locked in. You see what I'm saying? This comes off, this goes on. It's that simple. All this comes off and all this goes on. We save money compared to this. So who would you rather have in the lineup? All these contracts or all these? Think about it. It's that simple. Getting Cozens locked in is the key with the extra money we're making this offseason, in my books anyway. All right, guys, done for this one. I got one more coming your way. See you there.